to Ask the Expert, a web series designed to provide you with practical information on business and finance. I am your host, Nicole Pride. So I'm so delighted. Today we have with us Bishop Rosetta Bryson. She is a highly sought after mentor, speaker, and financial strategist whose motto is if you level the trading field, you level every field. So, as the founder and CEO of Simple Trader Pro, the largest Black owned financial technology company in America, Bishop Bryson delights in decoding what is often experienced by many people as an inaccessible system. Bishop Bryson is leading the charge in expanding and diversifying the fintech space, a field where few of us Black founders exist. And her simple tools show investors how to navigate the landmines with confidence and ease. So, welcome, 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 Bishop Bryson. We're so happy to have you here with us today.
Nicole, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you so much.
Oh, so thank you. So before we jump into the fintech space and the amazing things that you are doing, I do want to just take a step back because I want people to realize the breadth and depth of your experience. And so can you talk a little bit about the early part of your career where you started out in faith-based politics?
I did. I'm from Politics 101, and I grew up in Kansas City, Missouri. And I remember we had some neighbors who were very political, so they pulled us in as kids. I remember that I have a picture of me at 10 years old getting people registered to vote. And so politics has always been part of my world. I ended up moving to Washington, D.C., going to a HBCU, University of the District of Columbia, where I was a student government president. And from there, I mean, during that time, it was ruckus. We were trying no justice, no peace in the streets, shutting it down because we believe that the District of Columbia should have voting rights just like every other state. From there, I worked in my big mouth got me noticed by the mayor of Washington, D.C., and I worked with him on a campaign, got to be the deputy director of religious affairs, which means I worked with him in the Capitol building, but I worked on Capitol Hill. I worked in the White House. I went from that position to over religious affairs for the nation's capital. So it was very exciting. And that's how I started. I was very, very political, but at the same time, I grew up in a church, and the church part of me always was there. I went with a political science degree and went to Emory and got my Master of Divinity at Emory University in the middle of Atlanta. So while I went to Emory, I did go to ITC too also, which is on Atlanta's historically Black colleges and university campuses. And I just went to pastoring. So although I spent some years working in the White House, working on Capitol Hill, working in the state Capitol House, I ended up in about 98 going to Florida and pastoring. And so very, very excited about where that took me. But it was when I went to college at Emory. I went from an HBCU, I was president of the District of Columbia, UDC, yay. Then went to Emory, which was like the Harvard of the South. It's very prestigious, very big. And I'm looking around, and I just tell everybody this story. I was in a line, and the line was you either go to the left where you go and you pay with your credit card, pay for your books and all of that. And they looked at my little paperwork and sent me to another line, which was the go sign your life away line. So before I ever took a class, I had paid for tuition, books, housing, and that's before the class ever started. I was already in debt, and I thought, I'm in the wrong line. Now, how do I get out of that line? And being very creative, I put myself through school, undergrad. I came out of undergrad debt-free, and within minutes, it felt like I was $50,000 in debt at Emory. And I knew from working, when I say debt-free, I worked 40 hours and went to school full-time. But I work at every law firm. They put me in with CEOs. I was in the C-suite all the time. And everybody read this Wall Street Journal. I said, what you reading? So I decided to read it. I was like, I've got to do what they do because there's something to it. And when I went to school, one of my buddies said, my dad has a small, fund. At the time, he has a small company. They trade. Maybe consider just going in and popping in and doing something for the summer, unpaid intern. And I went and I loved it, and I learned
Mm.
everything I could learn. So while everybody else went to learn lunch, I was like, well, what do I need to do? What I need? You need coffee? Let me learn. And I was bold enough to say, now, what is that? How does that work? Blah, blah. And from there, I learned it so well that when people from Harvard and Princeton and Wharton got their Series 7 and still didn't know how to trade, they would send them to me. So that's how Simple Trader Pro. I always traded quietly. Um, and I decided to start my own company. And that's how it started.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. And, I think you appreciate this. You can kind of see the hand of God just
Yes.
over you, right? And
Yes.
so you started off in a traditional role doing advocacy work and helping to build our community. You're still doing the same today
I'm still
through
doing
your
it
company.
today. But I
Hmm.
do know this, people that there's a season for um, leveling the field. And the field is not just leveled with protest. The field gets leveled with money. And a lot of
Hmm.
people don't, money answereth all things. The field gets leveled with money, and no one wants to talk about that part. And
Hmm.
that's what the leveling does. I
Hmm.
can answer you if I have the means to answer you. Now, once you have the means and you don't do what you're supposed to do, that's one thing. But in terms of everybody having access, everyone doesn't have equal access.
Oh, so this is cool. So we have to take a step back because we're ready to jump all in,
Okay.
and I got to make sure our community knows everything that we're here to talk about. So this
Okay.
is great. So first thing, so it sounds like you got that kernel of interest when you worked for the small firm. So that took you down a different trajectory, right? So you started off with, like you said, faith-based politics, and then you started to see this whole different world where there is
Yes.
access, and you had a better understanding of how you can make a change and real
Yes.
change in someone's life, to
Yes.
have power, to have resources. So first, let's just talk about this whole thing about investing in the stock market. There is so much fear, and I also think just people just not knowing, right, about what it means to invest. How do you invest? So, first of all, just from your standpoint, where do you think that fear comes, that hesitation, why we as a community aren't as engaged in the stock market?
Well, let me just talk about it this way for a few moments, because I think the fear comes with miseducation. Let me take you back to a little bit. The stock market was never created for people that were brown and black skin like me. They were never created. That's why I'm usually the only woman in the room, the only girl in the room, the only black in the room. It was never created for black people. In order for you to trade on Wall Street as an institutional trader, you have to be sponsored by a bank, whether it's the J.P. Morgans, whether it's the Goldman Sachs, whether it's Cantor Fitzgerald, whether it's there's just so many banks up there, but the majority of them are run by white people, and middle management, it's all white. And very rarely this is 2024. Are there black traders on the floor? Absolutely not. So it wasn't made and created for us. Even if we went to financial schools and we're not trading. And so it is never meant for us. So it was never meant for us. And then the misconception is that it really doesn't work. It's a scam, it's fake, it's not real. That is not true. What happens is, if you don't know how to trade, then of course you may make a little, like that. And people in our community, it's gambling. It's not gambling. If it was gambling, it would not be a $4 trillion a year business that never closes. It's never closed. The economy goes up, it goes down. Trading that stock market is open every day, whether it's NASDAQ, whether it's ICE, which is the New York Stock Exchange, whether it's the CME, nothing closes. So it is open, making money. We have not been given access. So there's a lot of misconceptions. The misconception that it's gambling, and it's not gambling. It's legal. It's legal everywhere. It's legal. That's number one. Number two, if it wasn't legal, so many people would not be trying to keep us out of it. right? So it's a legal way of making money. It's business. And so if we can just start there, the people do not know the difference between what I call investing and trading. Trading is where you get in and out. Investing is where you buy stocks, you leave it there and you grow. And you
Mhm.
grow it over a series of years. And so it is huge. It is huge. Now think of every state. Just start with a fire department. Every state has a fire department. And so the fire departments take their money, they give them to a hedge fund, and they trade that. They trade the money, your dues, your local dues that you give as part of being in that fire department. They'll take them, and from that, they create a model for you to buy mutual funds, and you take that, and that's your 401k working for you. That's your IRA, Roth IRA working for you. But let me just say this. They do it again at the beginning of every year. They promise you 5%. Within 10 days, they've already made that money for the year. The rest of the money is what they keep for themselves. And so
Mhm.
if you don't know how to trade or invest, because they work hand in hand, then you're always going to be behind. It's hard to find people who are legitimate. It's hard to find people you trust, but there are people out there. There's FINRA certified people that will make sure but you have to look after your money. Yeah,
Right. No, and that's a good point, because I do think that so many people feel like, well, I have a 401k, and
they feel
that
safe.
they feel safe. They feel like that is what you're supposed to do, and that you'll grow and get rich with your 401k, when you
Yes,
are retired. And so, one, we don't have to wait until retirement, right?
thank
That's
you.
right. And are we really maximizing our resources with just a 401k?
You
And
are not.
so, right. And can you speak about that a little bit more? Mhm.
I think that they've created ways for you to think that you're satisfied, but then at the end of the day, um, they do not raise the cost of living has gone up, and it cannot keep up with those numbers. So that's why it has been said by 2040, people of color, brown and black skinned people, they won't even have houses. They'll be renters all of their life. If we don't change it right now, by 2040, that's not even a long way away, African American, Black people of color will not own homes because it's unaffordable. The cost to rent an apartment has gone up so much that people are now renting instead of buying. I don't know if you heard on 60 Minutes, there was the hedge funds are now buying up all the houses. And they said, is the American dream available? And they said, yes, the American dream is available, but you get to rent it. You can't own
Right.
it. And
I
so
saw
I
that.
believe
Hmm.
Yeah, I believe that you have to be an owner. And so, in order to be an owner, you've got to take control of your own finances. Let me just give you an example. We've had people that took their money out of their Roth IRAs, their 401ks, their regular IRAs in one day of trading. They beat what the system gave them for the whole year. So if you let the others tell you what you can do, then you will always be behind. If you learn it yourself, I have people every day, can you trade for me? I say, absolutely not, but I'll teach you how to trade.
Hmm.
Because if you can do it yourself, nothing will ever stop you. Yeah,
Right, right. Okay, so maybe listening to you a little bit, people are feeling a little bit more confident, and they're like, okay, so I
okay,
need to do more. I'm not doing enough. I want to do more, but I have no clue where to start. Where do you start? How do you begin from being absolutely not engaged in trading and then
right.
wanting to move forward? Hmm.
You have to decide how you want to live because what you invest in is what you will get a return in. People, when is my ship coming? Well, you never send your ship out. The ship can never come in if you've never sent it out. And so if you can buy, this is what I tell people, if you can buy a red bottom shoe, if you can go to the hairdresser every week, if you can do all of those things, then you can stop for a year or 6 months, save your money and teach yourself, or go to someone like me and make an investment in yourself. 1 year, make an investment in yourself. Get to learn the rules of trading. If you just learn the basic rules, you're well on your way. I trade. Simple Trader Pro has two sides to what we do. We have a live trade floor as if you were on, that's online every day. I average about 407 people that come to the live trade floor every day. They don't trade small, they trade big. These are big traders. We have our own AI system, we have our own code system. And so what happens is those people are able to make a living from trading. It's work. It's not just get in and get out. It's work. So if you want that in your life, then you can have that. It all depends on what you want. Some people like, oh, that's not my dream. But the deal about trading, it feeds other dreams. So when you get to a certain amount, you have to use your money. Take that amount, then go buy properties. Go buy multiple properties. Go invest in other things. And so you should have several streams of income coming in, but trading allows you to do that. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, so I heard you saying, we have to just get educated. There's no way to get around that. We have to educate ourselves to empower ourselves to begin the process. So you did touch on a little bit about they can learn through your platform, Simple Trader Pro. So do you want to describe that a little bit and what it entails?
Simple Trader Pro is a place where people who we can start for people who have traded before, we can put you in our trade room. And people, I always say people have trade, but do you trade profitably? We can teach you how to trade profitably. If you've never traded before, we start you with a very simple, what is a stock? Because if you can trade equities, then you can trade commodities, you can trade everything. You can trade crypto, you can trade forex, if you can trade equities. So we start with equities. And so we teach you everything. We have not only how to trade, but we teach you what to do after you've traded. Do you know how to maximize your money? Do you know how to start a company? Do you know how to pay yourself so that you're not paying capital gains? Do you know all of that? So that's what the course is. And it's a course that allows you to go at your own pace. But I hire people that are in our trade rooms from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day, because 8 p.m. is when after hours shut Eastern Standard Time. And so they're in there every day teaching people to trade. You don't have to text anybody. We have live people on the trade room. We have people that specialize in every sector, whether it's tech, whether it's industrials, whether it's airline, cruise line, whether it's pharma. That's what we do. I add AI and EV as a sector now. It's not, but that's what it is. And so we have people that specialize in every sector, and they will help you become the best traders. And so I'm very proud of our company. Our company is known for that. So that's one side of our company. The other side of our company, we work on financial literacy. So we have a curriculum that we start on the first grade, first to the fifth grade. We talk about financial literacy for kids. I had the privilege of showing you, Nicole, what that looks like. And then from sixth grade to the eighth grade, we have an AI system which we own and encrypt end to end. It's black box. We own the source code, where we teach people how to trade, young people. And we are advancing that from the 6th to the 12th grade. We can teach you how to trade outside of that, because what happens is when the kids start trading, the parents want to learn how to trade. We can teach everybody how to trade. So we do it very, very well. That's what put us on the map. And so I say this to you, that's what we do. I'd love to trade, so I'm just like a duck to water. And so I could talk about it all day, but that's who we are. And I love that you quoted my quote, because if I can level that field, I level every field. Mm-hmm. If I can level the trading field and teach you how to trade and make money every day, then you can think outside of, you can dream big. You can dream of not only having a vacation, but maybe having 2 or 3 a year. You can dream to travel. You can dream to all the stuff that, not just for basketball players and people in Hollywood or drug dealers. You can dream. And I take kids and I say, if I can teach you to trade between the 6th and 8th grade, you'll never shoot a gun. You'll never join a gang. You will own a home and not rent a home. And so that's what Simple Trader Pro is.
That is so awesome. I love the education piece, starting out with young people as young as, what did you say, first grade?
First grade.
First grade. That is a game changer.
That is a game changer. And then the books that we produce for financial literacy, they look like us. They have kids from kids that are from Indians, Jewish kids, Hispanic kids, Black kids. We put it out there. Our AI overlay allows you to speak in every language, 9 languages, and then we're trying to get one more French Creole language in there. And so we want you to be able to engage and see yourself in books. And so that's very important to me.
Well, some of the things that you mentioned too, I don't want to gloss over, which is just fascinating that you've done this. You started from scratch,
Scratch.
entering the fintech space, financial technology space, and developing this whole system and platform. Can you just talk about that too? Because you talk about having a vision and being able to develop. When you're talking about it, it's just basically having that vision that'll drive you to help you determine how you want to invest and trade. But you had this vision that led you to create this system that is so unique, it's one of a kind, and you are, as a Black woman in the space, you're just breaking all kinds of records and barriers.
Well, let me just tell you something. I love to trade, but what happened was my first trade, I was by myself. The bell rings, bing, bing, bing at 9:30. I clicked the button and I made so much money. I turned around and then I take a second trade and made more money. And I made more by 9:32, I'll say 9:33, than I had made in a month. And so I said, how come our people don't know this? How come our people don't know it? And so that is but that is my dream. The funny thing is, when I started, people, including my family, what is this? This is before, GameStop and everybody. And what are you doing? Nobody does that. Is that really real? That's fake. You're not good. And now I have a waiting list to get. So we were before our time, and we're always before our time. I knew a few things. I knew if the institutional, because I started training people. And when the institutional traders needed people, they would call me. The 4 guys that taught me originally, they went on to become a bigger hedge fund. And so they would call me and say, can you trade these people? I said, yeah. Can you come work for us? I said, I'm on a different trajectory, guys. I'm over here. And they would still send them to me. But after a while, they were saying, can you teach us what you teach them? And I thought to myself,
and can you just clarify for our community who the them are? Who are you training?
Can you teach these Ivy Leaguers who just got their Series 7, these Wharton, Princeton, Harvard, all of those, MIT traders, can you teach us what you teach them? Since you don't want to come work for us, can you teach us the way you teach them? Because once they go to you, they're money makers. So I said, okay, I have something. I said, absolutely not. And I'm going to do it myself. And so the good news is those institutional traders I'm still in contact with, and they send me people all the time to learn how to trade. That's when we started, we were profitable day one, which is unheard of. But it still wasn't my people. It still wasn't enough women. It still wasn't enough people of color. So even in my room, I'm very honest with people. Even in my big trade room every day, it's really not as equitable as it should be. So that's my aim. I can't wait till people get grown. I have to start with the youth. If I'd have known as a young person, had the opportunity to know what this meant early, I think my way of thinking would have been different. It opens your mind, and you're not stuck in a hole anywhere. You're actually able to plan a better future for yourself. So I just want to make it available across the nation to schools, and that's where we're going.
That's so awesome.
In terms of, let me just say though, but it didn't come easily. When I started, what I knew what I wanted required AI before people called it AI. They called it, learning. Computer learning. That's what AI is, computer learning. And so I went to a small company, and they were so good, but they were going out of business. And I bought the company. And so I went from like 2 or 3 people to 13. And I was like, ooh, it's so heavy. But it's from there we were able to do coding. From there we were able to break out of a box and create something for ourselves that now everybody pays attention to.
That's a great story. That's just great testimony. One of the things you mentioned were some of the landmines that are in trading. What are some of those landmines that people should be aware of?
There's a lot.
You can just narrow it down to a few.
There's a line, I want you to be a profitable trader, but being a profitable trader it means making sure that your business life is properly handled. So trading you have to have a different set of accountants. Regular accountants don't understand trading moves. So there's things that you have to know about being a trader, accounting wise, than you do just like than H&R Block. They're not going to be able to handle your trading life. Trading is set up so much for people to win. Let me just tell you something, that if you even lose money in a trade, if you know how to handle that trade you lose money on, at the end of the year, you can write it out and get all the money back. That's how this thing is tilted to win. So you just can't lose in this.
So I was going to say there's little risk then. So people think of it as so risky.
Yes, there's little risk, but you have to get out of the trade and you can't get back in it for a specified period of time. Now, if you do that, and it's heartbreaking because you're like, I got to get back in and get my money, but stay out of it for a specified period of time, then you can write that trade off and get it all back. So if I could tell you the rules, there's so many rules. One of the things that I tell people, and you probably heard me say, I said, I'll teach you how to trade anywhere in the world. I teach you how to trade without losing your principal, which means there's things that you have to have inlaid in your computer every time you make a trade, so that you don't lose your principal, number two. But you can't be emotional. You can't be an emotional trader. Number three, I'll teach you how to trade your way out of ordinary to extraordinary, because you have an extraordinary life when you can trade a few hours a day, make as much in one day as people make in a month, but you have to manage yourself. And so it's not just about what you do on the trade floor, it's about how you live every day. And I often tell traders, especially traders who are coming in, if you get new, I'm going to tell you, because it has to do with, because who you are just gets bigger, right? Who you are gets bigger. If you're mean, you'll be meaner. If you're kind, you'll be kinder. If you're a give, you'll be a bigger giver, So, think about that and decide what kind of person you want to be.
That was deep. I appreciate that. That was great. So this is so good. Tell me, how do you use your Simple Trader Pro to help people overcome some of their feelings of intrepidation, that type of thing that will help them become a stronger trader?
Knowledge is everything. Knowledge is everything. When you have the knowledge, you'll never lose. Because I always tell people, as my grandma used to tell me, people can't take what you know. So if you know the rules, you're good. And if you follow the rules, then you're going to be good. So with the knowledge, this is how I didn't know. You didn't, because people don't know what they know. Once they know it, they're like, I can do this. And so it takes away fear. Knowledge takes away fear. So get in there, find somebody you can trust, but be consistent. It's not a thing where the people like, I'm just going to go in there and no, it takes time. You have to build. It's line upon line, concept upon foundation upon foundation. You build it, you move. You build it, you move. So if you think it's overnight, it's not overnight. It's like anything that you want that's worth having, it's worth fighting for, and it's worth doing the work for. If you really don't do the work, then that's not for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, because listening to your testimony about in two minutes, making a month's worth of income, people may go into it and think it's a quick fix.
That was after a long time of me watching other people, learning, asking a million questions, And can I just share this? I sat with four guys, and they were each like, we're going to trade from, and I tell this when I teach people, we're going to trade from time the bell rings, which is 9:30 Eastern time. We're going to trade from 9:30 to maybe 11:30, 10:30, 11:30. And they said, because one guy said this, he said, because how much can a man make a day? And which turned my head. I'm like, how much? What? Are you kidding? And but I didn't know some of the rules, in terms of timing and volume, and et cetera. But they were, by 10:30, 11 every day, they were, half of them went to play golf and the other half went to play tennis. That is a true story. And I'm like, okay.
Mm.
This has never ever been an option in my world. My
Right.
world was, I had a father who was a Marine. After 20 years in the Marines, he worked every single day. He got up, put on his big heavy boots, and went to work. He just didn't know. You don't know what you don't know. It had never been given to him to know. He's since passed away. My one caveat is that I wish that I had been able to share trading with him, because I think he would have been excellent.
Mm.
He would have been excellent at it. Mm-hmm.
Oh. Well, this has been definitely eye-opening for many, and you've given so many different tips and just guidance about how to potentially move forward. So, is there anything that you want to leave our community with before you go?
Whether it's trading, whether it's another gift you have, or a dream or your vision, don't give up on it. Do
Mm.
not give up on it. Every time you hear a no, or why are you doing that, or blah, 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 if you know in your heart that that has been given to you to do, run with the vision. I'm going to share a scripture as a believer, there's a scripture in Habakkuk that says, write the vision, make it plain, that those who read it can run with the vision. Though the vision tarry, wait on it.
Yeah.
And so I say you have to read, because oftentimes we think that we write the vision so those who read it, you're not going to be the only one that reads it. And so I had to realize there are other people who had read the vision and jumped on with me. And if
Mm.
you can come, every time I talk about trading, I'm excited. And that's just my personality, but I really love it. And I think that it's the game changer that the world needs. If I could just teach a young child of color that they have every opportunity at their fingertips. Everybody
Mhm.
may not be an institutional trader. They may be a retail trader, which means that you don't trade for the banks, but you trade for yourself.
Mhm.
I mean, those are opportunities. And if I may say, don't let anybody hold you back. If I hear a no, I'm just like, you're not the one.
Right.
It's just, there's another door for me. So
Mhm.
just hold on to your vision.
Mm. Thank you, Bishop. I mean, that ministered to me. If no one else,
Yes.
sorry, I got what I needed.
Do not let it go. Yes.
Thank you so very much. This was so great. I know that you've inspired so many people today and opened their eyes, opened
Yes.
their vision, and will make some concrete steps, as a result of this discussion. So thank you so very much. We so appreciate you.
Nicole, thank you.
All right, folks, there you have it. Another episode of Ask the Expert. We appreciate you coming out today, and we'll see you next week, same time, same place.